Welcome to Anecdotes for Success with Matt and Paul. Storytelling is an art form, emphasizing the value and learning that is created through personal experience. Our purpose is to share these stories and experiences with the listener. Everyone has a powerful testimony. Let's use them to level up to our best life with truth, meaning, trade-offs, and perspective.
Matt, it's been a while. I mean, we text a lot, but I don't want to make excuses, but it's softball season for me. It's always acquisition season for you. And you have the little one and
Yeah,
and
yeah.
we we haven't prioritized it. That's probably safe to say. We're not going anywhere. I mean,
Yeah.
but
We,
it's
we,
it's
we've
been
had some good feedback that's actually inspired us, right? And that's great from people who listen and
yeah, and
had a lot of good things to say. So that's nice. I'm sure they've got bad things to say too behind our backs, but that's okay too. We
well,
deserve that also.
yeah, well, 100%. And I was texting the other day because I had listened to those two Mel Robbins books and then that other book. And you're like, read them, read them. Like, well, of course you have. But there's a lot of
They're
power
so good.
yeah, there's a lot of power in just believing when you're doing something, people are going to talk about you, but just who cares? Let them. I mean, it. Who cares?
Who
I mean,
cares?
if
If you're
that's
doing something good, Paul, and you're doing something that's meaningful to you, and what does it matter? Does it matter to you? Like literally, does it matter? Do you even give it any like I think one of the things you know when you know you're doing something meaningful and valuable to you and the people you care about, it's not even that you choose to ignore it. You can't even imagine engaging with it because it's just not it doesn't make it in. You know what I mean? It doesn't make it in to even get your time and energy. So I think that's one of those things that when you're doing the things that matter, it doesn't get through. It's like a wall that's there.
one thing I've changed in the last couple of years is I hear people talking about stuff around me that I don't agree with. A lot of times, and unless it's an activity where we're just having a friendly debate, but if they're
Yeah.
just spouting out opinions, I don't even engage.
Mhm.
And it's not a sign of softness. It's I'm not even wasting my time because that's clearly their opinion. They know everything. They don't want to know anything else. So I'm just going to let them know all that.
Yeah.
That's fine. I'm going to just keep doing my thing. And because if you argue back in the wrong arena, it looks like you're defensive and you have something to hide and you're scared of their opinion. They can have their opinion. I'll have mine and we'll see. We'll see who leads a better life, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we'll see. What I would say, we'll see where pillar one's truth, right? It's
Yeah.
objective truth. It's what actually works. And I was having this conversation with this student earlier in the week, and I was telling him about the four pillars, and he said, "What do you mean by truth?" And I said, "Well, that's a great question. I'm glad you asked. What I mean by truth is, does it work? Not the truth that I learned in class, right? And all the classes I've taken over the years in my academic career, but no, objective truth. Like I held up a pencil. I don't have one in, or a pen. I don't use pencils. Um, and I said, what's going to happen when I let this go? And he goes, it's going to fall on the table. I said, that's truth. Like, we all know that is what's going to happen. Like, we could debate, we could come up with, I'm sure there's someone who could say it won't happen every time for whatever. No, it's going to fall. It hit the table. And so, yeah, at the end of the day, Paul, what I think we all want, we all should be seeking. And there's too many people living in this online world and this nonsense world, but what actually works when you put it into action? And that's what I mean by truth.
Yeah. I thought of you today because as I was on my morning walk, I walk by this house every day. There's this big dog there, and I don't mean you're a big dog.
I knew you didn't.
The thing comes running out. I'm like, I'm not scared anymore because it has an invisible fence. But it's been there every morning it does the same routine, stakes out his ground, barks, looks mean, looks tough. If it was a human, it'd be a dog that lifts weights, like it's big. But it's worn out a path along the edge of the fence. And and big dogs don't know everything. Like if he would take a chance and break through that fence,
Free
he could
reign.
devour me. He
Yeah.
could he could have the realm of the whole neighborhood until animal control comes and tries to capture, but people get so comfortable they just tread that same path like that dog. And,
Mm.
and I always
Mm.
think of you in respect because it's nothing you would do. And in the
It's
11,
nothing I do now. It's not nothing I haven't done, right?
well, yeah, no,
Yeah.
because in the 11 years I met you, when you first, well, I mean, I've known you longer than that, but when we reconnected, that's my mindset now. And you know, I don't know why people don't welcome other people into their lives.
Yeah.
You know that
Yeah.
adage, they're there for a reason,
Yeah.
a season, or I can't remember the other part. It's probably good.
I
But
know what you mean, though. I know what you mean. Yeah.
but you know everything and you have your circle and you just you wear out that path and this is just it and this is my great life and you don't realize what's beyond there if you just be truthful with yourself. Like there's always more to explore.
It reminds me of another conversation I was having this week, and it was a younger person as well. And I hate when people do. I don't hate it, but when people do it, they're like, it was a business thing, and they saw my credentials, right? And they're like, like this whole, oh my gosh, and I'm like, look, I know this much. Like, this is how much I know about the world and about like we all have so much to learn. I'm like, I can learn from. So I said, he was a younger person in his 20s or whatever. I said, just me sitting here asking you questions here right now, the things I can learn, the perspective I can gain from you is very valuable to me. Like that's how I approach life. That's how you should approach life as well. So there's just so much. The relationships, I could just go on and on about it, but I live it, Paul, every day. I see it every day, the relationship thing and how some of these things, something I have going on right now that's like really spurring a lot of these thoughts for me. It's like we talk about it, but it's not talk. It's how it works.
Well, remember we had Tyler on the podcast, ex student of mine. I
Yep.
see him every day now because he just bought some land down the road from the tap house. I saw this road built through the middle of nowhere one day. And I walked back there and he bought this shed and all these acres of property, put a road in, and he's working the land amidst all his other things he does. And he's going to put some apartments in there. And
Sounds like a
I tend,
lucky guy.
well, yeah, I mean, but he's just never going to, he has a smile on his face, already has a condo in Florida. He goes in winters with all his old friends, but he works multiple unlimited hours in the
Yeah.
summer, does this thing. But that's his fun building and creating. And I feel like the average person has to not have that so they can have the perspective when they go for it.
Yeah.
But the trap is you never go for it. Now, he went for it instead of college because he had seen some family and friends never go for it. So it's very rare you have a young kid just go for it instead of
Mm.
settle in with society first. But my guess, he went through it through the eyes of other people he knew and didn't want to be that way. But one of our other pillars, if you don't have that perspective, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. And he is a great example. I remember when we spoke to him, a great example of someone when you go, well, how much do you work? Where he goes, I don't know. That's the answer of someone who's doing something
Right.
meaningful. When you know how many hours you've been at work a week, every week, that's typically in my mind a sign that what you're doing isn't checking that. It's not hitting that area that I just want everyone to be able to hit. Unfortunately, most people don't. But like that's the thing. I love getting that question too. I get it all the time. Well, how much you work?
Hey,
No idea. No idea. I was home all week with my 2.5-year-old daughter. My wife was out of town on business all week, and um, I didn't work much this week. But boy, I went through it. You can t I still I haven't shaved in 4 days.
that, but all that's okay. I mean, that's a
Oh,
great
it's the
point you made.
best. It's the
Hey,
best.
listen, like Joe Rogan right now would say, I got to take a pee break. I really got to take this phone call, so we're going to hit pause real quick.
Do it. Take it.
All right, we're back. Sorry, took that call. Everything's good. I'm still here. I'm still alive. But I want to piggyback on what you were saying with you really don't know how many hours you work because there's so much meaning in what you do. You're not stupid. You know your work and your but there's no cutoff time. There's no start time, but
Yeah,
you just no one's gonna save you. You just have to
it,
go do it.
yeah, and it doesn't mean I'm working 60 hours a week either at time. You know what I mean? Like that's the thing. It's not like this never-ending cycle of work. That's not what it means either. It
Right.
just means it feels different. It is different. That's all. And again, this isn't about me. It's those are the things that you kind of when you're in that mode, you know it. It's like you don't know it until you know it. That's when you know, like, oh, this means something to me. Like this isn't when's lunch, when's 5 o'clock, when's the weekend. Like and I've been there again. I know
Right.
that feeling. This is not that. It's the opposite of that.
I was having my students debate this week, like, what's the definition of work-life balance? And people are like, the most common answer was, well, you have weekends off, you get 3 weeks vacation, A, B, C, D, right? And then one kid said, well, I think it's you work all the time, but you can take off whenever you need to take off because you like what you're doing. And I thought that was a really good answer. Everybody's different. But I think truer freedom comes with that second response.
Mm,
Because if you're able to take off whenever you want, it means you have the authority and the power with what you're doing to shut it down, maybe with consequences, maybe with
yeah,
no revenue for the day, maybe,
yeah.
insurance ramifications. But that's probably the better balance. Balance doesn't mean safer. It just means can you be there for the most important things? And 3 weeks vacation and weekends doesn't mean you always can be there for the most important things.
No, certainly. There's trade-offs everywhere. The thing that I think is important to note out of that for a lot of people, particularly younger people, but anyone, is you got to tell me what you want out of life and what you want to achieve before I even answer that. Because if you want to do something great, you want to be excellent. You want to be, you don't want to be like everyone else. You want to achieve something. I don't care what it is. Work-life balance is not a term you're going to have in your vocabulary for a long time. You don't, you don't get the best of all worlds and get greatness or what. And again, great. I don't mean greatness like I'm Lionel Messi or LeBron James. Like you're just like the
You mean your best
people
life,
talk,
like what
living
you're
the
looking
kind.
for.
Achieving the things that you want to achieve that again like I'm as a very family oriented person I have a difficult time with this but many times over the course of my career I have to fit in family and those other things I don't I don't I don't go well I work Monday through Friday 9 to 5 and then like the word balance is not one that I would use to describe my career. It's also one I wouldn't use to describe most people's career who've done something that I would, and most people would look at and go, now that's different. That's amazing. And most people either A, don't want that, or B, aren't willing to make the trade necessary. But if you think that you're going to be like, I'm going to be amazing at this, the best, real estate developer, the best, uh, the best priest, whatever. I don't care what it is. If you think that's going to be achieved while focusing on work-life balance, you are absolutely wrong. It's not happening.
So maybe I'm wrong with the terminology and everybody is. Maybe it's work-life management.
Sure, sure. And look, I know most people want a work-life balance. I get it. I'm not saying they shouldn't. I'm just
Right.
saying don't look at person A over here who's a CEO of company Y who's killing it. And if you think that person has any kind of work-life balance, particularly as they're grinding to get where they are, you're lying to yourself. They don't. They didn't. They haven't. Nobody becomes the CEO of Starbucks working 40 hours a week. Nobody becomes the head of whatever. I don't care what it is. Pick something you appreciate and admire because they punched out at 5 o'clock every day and took the weekend off. I don't know. Maybe there's some organizations out there. Government comes to mind, but you, you don't take these I think they're beautiful stories of achievement and go. I mean, look at Kobe Bryant. He's a great example. Kobe Bryant had all sorts of gifts, right? Well, he's not Kobe Bryant if he doesn't work every waking moment, right? That was his MO, right? That guy was in the gym all the time. Um, I can guarantee his wife and he didn't have, spend every evening together or every morning together or anything at all like that. It is grind, grind, grind to greatness. And not everyone wants to be great. That's totally fine. But when we look at people in society and go, well, look at them, look at all they have. They gave something else up that most of us probably weren't willing to give up. And so, it's easy to look at people at the top and then, oh, they're lucky or oh, they this or oh, they that. Um, I would I would challenge you to look deeper into the ride it took to get there. I bet a lot of it doesn't look all that enticing to most people.
Well, I think branching off of this, you have to define your objectives of what you want in life. But unfortunately, people don't. They let life run them.
Beautiful. Yeah,
And
you're right.
if you really know your objectives and know this is your one shot, then why don't you get after it and just understand there's going to be trade-offs and consequences. But there's no stop, there's no finish line. If you really want it, just literally go for it.
Yeah. And Paul, if you decide from the time your kids, you got two kids, and from the time they're born to the time they're 18, you're going to be at everything you can, every spelling bee,
Right.
every game, every music. You're going to put them to bed. You're going to read them books. Good for you. I admire that as much as anything in the world. I can't tell you how much I admire that. We need more of that. But if you think during that 18-year period, the promotions are going to come and here come, you're going to be leading the organization, you're lying to yourself in most cases. Like you're not going to do both. You're not going to be super dad or super mom and build your law practice or your medical practice or whatever without giving those trade-offs. Neither answer is right I don't get to judge that. That's every individual's perspective. I
Well,
I I love people who are that kind of parent. I admire the crap out of them. But
you
you
know,
don't get
there's
both. You don't get both.
there's different ways to go about everything. I think that's great what you said. I mean, it's kind of what I did with being an educator and a coach.
Sure.
But
Great
but
example.
all that passion you have with coaching and with your kids and with teaching or working your job, family, whatever, the trouble is once that chapter ends,
Mm,
they don't take that. A lot of people don't take that energy and funnel it into something new. Now you're
great point.
lost.
Great
Now
point.
you're lost.
Yeah.
Now you're at the bar every weekend. Well, I shouldn't say that. I own a tap house. I hope they're here every weekend. But uh uh my wife and I have never been busier, and our kids live out of state, have their
Right.
own careers because
Yeah.
we have that same energy to other things.
Yeah.
And when
Yeah.
we get tired of that, we'll pursue other things
Other
and other
things.
things and other things. So the objectives could be like chapters for sure, right? Go to high school, then go to college, then get your job. Well, after so many years, I want to stop this job and create my own and go from here. But people don't, they're not truthful with themselves about their timelines and what they want to do. And then someday you're just regretting it because it never happened.
Yeah, and I think you nailed it. You've got to define what you want and those things of course can change and will change, but if you don't have a roadmap, right, Paul, if you don't have a goal, you're flying blind and I stole this from someone I forget who, but someone way smarter than me. It may have been on our podcast. It could have been, but they were telling us that I think it was. You can't have a most people do this. Well, I just know I don't want to go there. I just know I don't want to be there. That's not good enough. You got to go, this is where I want to go. It's like putting it in your, you're going to get in your car in your phone, you're going to put in, are you going to put in where you want to go, or are you going to put in where you don't want to go? You're going to put in where you want to go. That's what's going to get you there. We don't do that in our minds enough. We're much more like, well, I don't want to be this and I don't want to be that. We put in the negative thought and we don't have the proper direction. And so most of us flounder around way more than we otherwise would, and way more than we need to.
Well, the famous thing, sticking with the phone and GPS analogy, if you try to go to the wrong spot with your GPS, it doesn't say you moron. It just says recalculating, recalculating,
Yeah,
and it brings you back on task. You can always get back.
yeah, true.
So nothing's linear. There's no start or finish. Well, I mean, there's birth and death, but in
Yeah,
between there's no start or finish in anything you do.
there's not. And it's important for
It
people
might take
to know
six
that.
months to recalibrate
Or longer, right? It
or
might,
longer.
or you might put in 2 years and you realize, my God, it didn't get where I wanted to go. That's the risk. That's part of the way it goes. That's part of the journey. That's the way it is. Too many people think there's some sort of guarantee out there, and that the excitement and the journey is the fact that there's not.
So back to the big dog, okay? Uh, you couldn't convince that dog he's not living his best life
Uh-huh. Running
because it
around
does.
back and forth, same path every day.
Yeah, because big dogs don't know. Uh, and they don't have the tool of perspective. They
True.
don't have the tool of comparison either, which is fabulous. They
Yeah.
they don't care. Uh, so we're blessed as human beings to have an awareness to think about what we're going through and see if it's the path we really want to be on. And I think that the biggest waste is when people just stay on the same path and think it's the best life they could live.
Yeah, and there's a lot of that, right? And but there's the good news, Paul, is there's opportunity everywhere. There's challenges to be conquered. There's people to meet. There's relationships to build. There's achievements to have. There's failures to learn from. There's all these, but none of them can happen without taking action. And so it's always that. It's always taking action.
Feel when we don't have guests on, it always comes down to the same couple things. Well, the four pillars, really.
And you know what? So does my everyday life.
Yeah.
That's just, you know what I mean? It's not, this isn't any different than what I'm going to do for the next, whatever, 8.5, 9 hours, whatever, till I go to bed, um, and till I put my daughter to bed. And, it's not, it's not these are the values. This is a system I believe in. And it helps me make the best choices I can make, because at the end of the day, I know that the better the choices I make, the better my life. And it doesn't mean it's gonna be perfect, because it's not, and there's plenty of examples of that. But it does mean the choices you make are going to lead to consequences, and that's going to have more impact on your life than anything else out there, including the government, including, all the other variables people love to throw in there to give themselves excuses not to do anything.
Does it matter what other people think to you?
I, the, it only matters what a few people think to me, right? There are people who they're, you know, um, but it's a very small number. It's a very, very small number.
So if it matters, it's probably somebody that means a lot to you or you trust because the
Or,
criticism means something.
right, or they have an expertise in an area that I actually, my mom, who I love more than, I couldn't love her more, right? But if she comes in and tells me how to run my businesses, I'm gonna go, Mom, I don't care what you think, right? But if she comes to me and says, Hey, I don't like the way you're treating people, or I don't like the way
Right.
you're talking to your daughter, or I don't, well, that's gonna go a long way for me, or I don't like the way you spoke to your wife. Those things are gonna go a long way for me, you know.
I, I'm a little negligent as an owner this time of year because I'm coaching. I mean, it's in good hands with our employees and wife. You know what I mean? But stopped in a couple hours twice this week and two people already this week. You know what you should do? And I want to say walk away. Like, what do you own? you know, because it either means it's going to cost me a lot of money and it's not worth the return, right? Or it's a bad idea. I listen because maybe it is a good idea, but I
Right.
shouldn't have to do it because you're not in the arena with me. And I'm just a nobody in the business world, but it blows my mind. Just like when I hear people talking about what coaches and managers should do in the big leagues when they're sitting here
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
50
yeah,
pounds overweight. And,
yeah.
and I know I'm a little bit broken record with that, but it shouldn't stop you from pursuing anything.
No, it should not. It should not. Hopefully it's an inspiration.
All right. Well, it was good to be back. And if a dog doesn't know, what hope do we have, Matt?
I think we got some. That's the good
Yeah.
news.
All right. Hey, we'll talk sooner than later.
Sounds good, man. Take
Bye.
care.